What inmates eat inside Angola Prison. Every day, more than 6,000 incarcerated men wake up inside one of the largest prisons in the United States. A prison so massive it sits on 18,000 acres of land, larger than many small towns. A place known simply as Angola. Officially called Louisiana State Penitentiary, this prison has held some of the most violent offenders in the state for more than a century. But behind the walls, beyond the guard towers, and far away from public view, another system operates every single day. A system responsible for feeding thousands of inmates. 3 meals. Every day. Every week. Every year. And the question many people ask is simple. What exactly do inmates eat inside Angola Prison? Is the food barely edible? Is it nutritious? Or is it something completely different than most people imagine? Today on Beyond the Bars, we're going inside one of America's most famous prisons to examine the reality of prison food at Louisiana State Penitentiary. From the massive prison kitchens, to the daily meal schedules, to the farms where inmates actually help produce food for the prison itself. What prisoners eat here tells a much bigger story about how the prison system operates. But before we step inside Angola's kitchens, make sure to support the channel. If you enjoy factual, in-depth prison documentaries like this one, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Beyond the Bars. Your support helps us continue producing detailed stories about the realities of prison systems around the world. Now let's step inside Angola, the largest maximum security prison in America. To understand what inmates eat inside Angola, you first need to understand the scale of the prison itself. Louisiana State Penitentiary is not just a prison. It is an entire self-contained community. Located in West Feliciana Parish, Louisiana, the prison sits on a former slave plantation along a bend in the Mississippi River. The prison's nickname, Angola, actually comes from the name of the plantation that once occupied the land. Historians say that plantation itself was named after the African region of Angola, where many enslaved people brought to Louisiana originally came from. Today, the prison complex covers approximately 18,000 acres, making it the largest maximum security prison in the United States. Inside its perimeter are housing units, prison industries, churches, a hospital, multiple kitchens, agricultural fields, rodeo grounds, and even its own radio station. Most of the inmates held here are serving long sentences, including life without parole. According to Louisiana Corrections data, a large percentage of Angola's population is expected to spend the rest of their lives inside the prison. Which means daily routines, including meals, become a defining part of life behind bars. And feeding thousands of people every day requires a massive logistical operation. Because every morning, before the sun rises over the Mississippi River, the kitchens of Angola Prison are already working. Feeding thousands every day. Every single day, Angola Prison must provide 3 meals to thousands of inmates. That means preparing more than 18,000 individual servings of food every day. And the work begins early. Very early. Inside the prison kitchens, food preparation can start before 4 o'clock in the morning. Large institutional kitchens operate across the prison compound, with staff supervising inmate workers who help prepare meals. These kitchens are designed to function like large-scale cafeterias. Industrial ovens. Massive steam kettles. Commercial food mixers. And storage areas filled with bulk ingredients. Much of the work is performed by incarcerated workers assigned to kitchen duty, who are supervised by corrections officers and prison staff. Kitchen jobs are considered important assignments inside the prison. Some inmates request them because they provide steady work schedules, and in some cases slightly better access to food. But cooking for thousands of people is not simple. Meals must follow state nutritional guidelines. They must meet budget limits set by the Corrections Department. And they must be prepared in ways that allow thousands of inmates to be served quickly during tightly scheduled meal periods. Because inside Angola, meals are not leisurely. They are part of a strictly controlled daily routine. The prison meal schedule. Life inside Angola runs on a precise schedule. Meals are served at fixed times, and entire housing units move together under supervision. Typically, inmates receive 3 meals per day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast often arrives very early in the morning, sometimes shortly after sunrise. Lunch is usually served around midday, depending on housing unit schedules. Dinner generally takes place in the late afternoon, often earlier than most people outside prison would expect. Once dinner ends, inmates may not receive another meal until the following morning. Meal times must be coordinated carefully. Because moving thousands of inmates through dining halls requires tight security procedures. Correctional officers monitor entrances. Inmates line up by housing units. And meals must be served quickly enough to keep the entire system moving. But what actually appears on those trays? The answer is not always what people imagine. Prison food is designed first and foremost to meet basic nutritional requirements at the lowest possible cost. That means large portions of simple, inexpensive ingredients. Rice, beans, bread, vegetables, and processed meat products. But Angola Prison also has something that many prisons across the United States no longer have. Its own working farm system. The Angola Prison Farm. One of the most unusual aspects of Angola Prison is its agricultural operation. The prison still maintains large-scale farming programs that date back more than a century. Historically, inmates at Angola were required to work in fields growing crops such as corn, soybeans, cotton, vegetables. Over time, these agricultural operations became an important part of the prison's internal economy. Today, Angola still produces a significant amount of food on its own land. The prison operates cattle herds, vegetable gardens, and crop fields that contribute to food production for the facility. Some of the products raised at Angola include beef, vegetables, grains, milk products. These foods may be used directly inside the prison kitchens or distributed within the Louisiana correction system. Supporters of the program say the farm provides job skills and work opportunities for inmates. Critics argue that the system resembles historical prison labor practices that have long been controversial. Regardless of the debate, the agricultural system means that some of the food served inside Angola is actually grown or raised by inmates themselves. But even with prison farms, feeding thousands of people requires more than just crops. Most ingredients still come from large government food suppliers. And the meals served inside Angola are designed for efficiency above all else. A typical prison breakfast. Breakfast inside Angola is typically simple and repetitive. Meals are designed to be fast to prepare and easy to serve in large quantities. According to correctional reports and inmate accounts reported by journalists, a typical breakfast may include eggs or powdered eggs, grits or oatmeal, bread or biscuits, fruit, milk, sometimes sausage or another processed meat. Portions are measured to meet basic nutritional requirements established by correctional guidelines. But the meals are rarely elaborate. Institutional food services must operate within tight state budgets. Across the United States, prison systems often spend only a few dollars per inmate per day on food. Exact per-meal spending can vary by state and year, and specific Angola budget figures are not always publicly detailed. But corrections experts widely report that prison food programs aim to keep costs as low as possible while meeting nutritional standards. For inmates, breakfast becomes the first moment of the day where routine sets in. Wake up. Line up. Receive a tray. Eat quickly. Then return to the housing unit or work assignment. Because inside Angola Prison, the day moves fast. And lunch is already being prepared. Inside Angola's main kitchen. Behind the dining halls of Angola Prison lies one of the most important parts of the entire facility. The main prison kitchens. These kitchens operate on an industrial scale. Large steam kettles can cook hundreds of servings at once. Commercial ovens bake dozens of trays of food simultaneously. And massive storage rooms hold ingredients in bulk quantities designed to feed thousands of inmates. Unlike restaurants or small cafeterias, prison kitchens must function with maximum efficiency and strict supervision. Inmate workers handle much of the food preparation. They chop vegetables, mix ingredients, portion meals, and prepare trays that will be distributed to housing units and dining halls. However, these workers operate under the watch of corrections officers and civilian kitchen supervisors. Security remains a constant concern. Kitchen tools like knives, mixers, and heavy equipment must be strictly accounted for. At the end of every shift, tools are counted and secured. Because in a prison environment, even basic kitchen equipment must be carefully controlled. Despite these restrictions, Angola's kitchen operations function every day with remarkable consistency. Thousands of meals are prepared. Thousands of trays are filled. And thousands of inmates line up to eat. Lunch at Angola. Lunch inside Angola typically arrives around midday, depending on the housing unit schedule. By this time, inmates may have already spent several hours working assignments. Some work in maintenance. Others work in prison industries. Some work in the fields of the Angola farm. And for many inmates, lunch becomes an important break in the middle of the day. Typical prison lunch meals often include combinations of rice and beans, vegetables, bread, processed meat products, pasta dishes, casseroles. Menus rotate throughout the week to provide basic variety. For example, according to prison menu reports and inmate interviews published in news investigations, lunches may include items such as beans with rice, bologna sandwiches, chicken and rice dishes, spaghetti with meat sauce, vegetable stew. The meals are designed primarily to provide calories and basic nutrition rather than culinary variety. Portion sizes must meet minimum dietary standards. But the meals themselves are usually very simple and repetitive. Once inmates receive their trays, they typically have a limited amount of time to eat. After the meal period ends, housing units are escorted out in groups and returned to their assigned areas. Then the next group enters. And the process repeats again. The prison dining halls. Angola Prison operates multiple dining halls to handle the large inmate population. These spaces resemble institutional cafeterias rather than traditional restaurants. Rows of long metal tables are bolted to the floor. Plastic trays move down serving lines. And correctional officers stand at key positions throughout the room. Meal service must be carefully organized. Large groups of inmates enter the dining hall together. They pass through the serving line, receive their trays, and find seats quickly. The entire process must be efficient. Because housing units are scheduled in tight rotations. Correctional staff monitor behavior closely. Any conflict or disruption during mealtime can quickly escalate if not controlled. As a result, prison dining halls operate under strict rules. Inmates must follow instructions. Remain seated during meals. And return trays when finished. Despite the strict environment, for many prisoners the dining hall also becomes one of the few places where social interaction occurs. Inmates sit with people from their housing units. Conversations happen quietly over trays of food. But the environment always remains controlled. Because inside Angola Prison, security takes priority over everything else. How prison food budgets work. One of the biggest factors shaping prison meals across the United States is cost. State correctional systems operate under strict budgets. And feeding thousands of inmates every day becomes a major expense. Many prison systems across the country spend between $2 and $4 per inmate per day on food. However, exact numbers can vary depending on the state and specific facility. In Louisiana, corrections budgets are set by the state government, and food services must operate within those limits. Because of these financial constraints, prison kitchens rely heavily on bulk grains, beans, pasta, bread products, frozen vegetables, processed meats. These ingredients are inexpensive, easy to store, and can be prepared in large quantities. Fresh ingredients may appear in meals occasionally, especially when produced through the prison farm system. But the majority of meals depend on bulk institutional food supplies. The goal is not luxury. The goal is to provide enough calories and basic nutrients to maintain inmate health while keeping costs manageable for the state. The Angola Prison Commissary. For many inmates, the meals served in the dining hall are not the only source of food. Angola Prison also operates a commissary system. A commissary functions like a small prison store where inmates can purchase additional items using money from their prison accounts. These accounts may be funded by prison job wages, money sent by family members, other approved sources. Items available through the commissary may include instant noodles, peanut butter, cookies, crackers, canned tuna, coffee, candy, snack foods. Inmates often combine commissary foods with dining hall meals to create their own snacks or extra portions. For example, instant noodles have become one of the most commonly purchased commissary items in prisons across the United States. Journalists and researchers studying prison culture have documented how certain commissary foods even become informal forms of currency inside prisons. However, access to commissary items depends entirely on whether an inmate has money in their account. Many prisoners do not. Which means they rely almost entirely on the meals provided by the prison kitchens. Nutrition and prison food standards. Despite the low budgets and simple ingredients, prison meals must still follow nutritional guidelines. Correctional systems are required to provide food that meets basic dietary standards. These standards are generally designed to ensure inmates receive adequate calories, protein, essential vitamins and minerals, balanced portions of carbohydrates and fats. Menu planning is often overseen by dietitians or food service professionals working within the correction system. Meals must also meet legal requirements. In the United States, courts have ruled that prisons must provide inmates with nutritionally adequate food. Serving food that is consistently unsafe or nutritionally deficient could violate the Eighth Amendment prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. However, what qualifies as adequate nutrition in prison has often been debated. Inmates and advocacy groups have sometimes criticized prison meals as being too small, too repetitive, or lacking fresh ingredients. Corrections departments, on the other hand, maintain that meals are designed to meet official dietary requirements. The reality often falls somewhere in between. Meals are designed to meet minimum standards. But they are rarely designed for comfort. Dinner inside Angola. The final meal of the day at Angola usually takes place in the late afternoon. For many inmates, dinner is the last hot meal they will receive until the following morning. Typical dinner meals often include simple combinations such as rice with gravy, beans, vegetables, bread or cornbread, chicken or processed meat products. Menus rotate on a weekly schedule to provide some variation, but most meals remain basic and repetitive. Dinner service follows the same tightly controlled system used during other meals. Housing units are escorted to the dining halls. Trays move quickly down serving lines. Inmates sit, eat, return trays, and exit under supervision. Within a short period of time, thousands of inmates have been fed. And the dining halls empty again. Holiday meals and special occasions. While most prison meals remain simple, some facilities, including Angola, occasionally serve special meals on major holidays. These meals may include items such as turkey, ham, sweet potatoes, dessert items like cake or pie. These holiday menus are intended to provide a small change from the regular routine. However, they still follow the same logistical and security procedures as normal meals. For inmates serving long sentences, these rare holiday meals can mark the passage of time inside prison. A reminder of the world outside the walls. The reality of prison food. Inside Angola Prison, food is not about comfort. It is about routine, survival, and logistics. Every day, thousands of meals are prepared, served, and consumed within a tightly controlled system. The menus are simple. The portions are calculated. And the schedule never stops. For the men serving long sentences inside Louisiana State Penitentiary, these meals become part of the rhythm of prison life. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Day after day. Year after year. Because inside Angola, even something as ordinary as food reflects the reality of life behind bars. If you found this documentary informative, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Beyond the Bars. Your support helps us continue sharing factual stories about prison systems around the world. And if there's a prison or topic you'd like us to cover next, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next episode of Beyond the Bars.